about trade entry strategies in terms of supply and demand, order flows, moving. It doesn't matter. Most of the time, we focus on, like 90% of the time we struggle, and then we try to focus on the trade entries. But the third part of the trading plan is to maximizing your trade when you are already in the across the break even. Let's focus on that particular topic today, because most of the time, if you even if you are entered the great entry, you are already broken break even, your stop loss is above your trade entry. Most of the time, if you don't know how to stay in your trade longer in terms of the volatility, pullbacks, and a lot of reasons, you are not going to maximize your trade. Today, let's focus on how you can maximize every single time, irrespective of volatility and then the any kind of small pullbacks. Before I get started, please understand this presentation is purely for educational purpose only, not to provide any promises or guidelines. What's in terms of guarantees? Please understand CFT is a rule, trading is risky. Anyway, if you have any questions, always you can reach us in the email and then the phone number. Let's get to it. Trading structure basically in three parts. One, trade entry, how and then what are the different strategies you are going to use to enter your trade, long or short, which price line, which exact timing of your trade. And then once you are in the trade, and then next important focus is risk management, how far you can keep the stop loss, in terms of how you can manage your stop loss, moving your stop loss to until you reach a break even. When I say break even, I meant, let's say if you are in long trade, the stop loss is below, the price moves up in your direction, you move your stop loss little above your trade entry. That means even the market reverses, you are gonna not gonna lose a trade because your stop loss is above your trade entry. Once you locked in your break even, at that point your shift of focus going away from risk management, because you locked in. Now trade management, how we can maximize your profit. Today, let's just focus on what are the best ways, and then what are the most common issues that you face in your trade management. Let's couple of we spoke to a lot of traders every single day in terms of doing demos, presentations, customer calls. I'm going to show you some of the common messages we always hear. Here is one: I wish I stayed in the trade longer. Once I exited, the price went further. I missed the whole run. How many times we exited a trade? Once you exited the trade, the price still moved much further, the same direction of your trade. You felt like, oh, I could have stayed. I wish I had stayed. This is, you're not alone. It is very very common issue. It's not an issue, but it's emotional struggle in terms of you earn profit. Is it good to book the profit and then take the money, or taking the staying in the trade a risk even more? That's a personal choice, but we face this situation so many times. And here's the other one. I saw when you're in the trade, I saw the market reversal and I exited immediately. But it was just a small pullback, and the trend continued further. I should have stayed. This again, the volatility and pullbacks are the reason we try to exit the trade. Most of the time, we do not know whether it is volatility or just a small pullbacks or end of the trend. That's why we tend to exit the trade. But still, if it is still continue on the trend, you're gonna regret again. Here, it takes years and years of practice, and then the um, to get through the emotions. But this is very common among all the beginner traders. My emotions can't stand the volatility. I end up closing my trade way sooner every single time. That's me when I started the whole first 2 years. Every time when I'm in the trade, that too when I'm already profitable, the market volatility, pullbacks, my emotions always got me. I exit my trade and what? Let me get out. I can't stand anymore. I can't stand anymore. Let me exit. But once it exited, by looking at the market still goes in the direction, that's a pain to watch. So that's why I wanted to focus on the BSG AutoFlow zones indicator. The little bit of side story history back when we released the AutoFlow zones indicator. Even if you look at the demos and then the product videos, we talk about in terms of indicator to use as a trade entry strategy. That's how we designed the indicator initially, to mark the trend, AutoFlow based trend, and then help entering the trade. But over the years, we saw the traders used a little bit differently, and then more and more we hear the stories about also when we tested. That's very true. Indicator helped much more, very effectively, staying in the trade longer compared to trying to use indicator as a trade entry strategy. So let me talk about a little bit in detail. Again, understand the difference between staying in the trade. Let's say you are in the long trade already, you are in the trade, market is moving in your direction, the volatility, pullbacks, all the market movements is going to get your emotions, force you to exit your trade. But AutoFlow zones is a perfect indicator for you to control your emotions and stay longer, hide all the uh, volatility. I'll show you chart demos in a second, but stay with me. In terms of it, since all the algorithm built in to find the trend based on the order flow, and then we color code every single candle based on those trends. So that means you won't see the regular red candle for uptake and then a downtake and then green candle for the uptick. Now you will see blue, yellow, and then red, bullish, bearish, or choppy. So what happens is that it doesn't matter whether the price moves up or moves down. It The color coding is purely based on the momentum, AutoFlow based momentum. So that'll hide everything in terms of um, volatility and pullbacks. So you can replace your emotional struggle by the confidence. At the same time, you'll become blind to volatility and the pullbacks. You just focus on the trend continuation. Okay, so this is what we hear again and again with a lot of customers. Autoflow zone helps me to stay in my trade longer every single time. Now I don't exit until Autoflow zone stand confirmation. When I say Autoflow change confirmation, we're talking about the color coded bars. Let me show you in a second whatever I'm talking about in a little bit in demo very quickly. I just want to show you in terms of what we hear. Since I started using Autoflow zones, I'm less stressful to decide whether to stay or exit. This is the most um, common. This is some customers, like I said, we introduced the Autoflow zones indicator as a trade entry strategy. I think some of the this is very good. Some customers had the indicator for a long time, but they didn't know how to use it for the trade management. And then this is one of the message. I had the Autoflow zones indicator for 2 years, but never used it much. But now I don't trade without it. The reason is here in this customer, it is like change the way they use indicator instead of trade entry strategies. They're using in terms of trade management, in terms of staying in the trade longer, maximizing your trade much better than if you don't use it effectively. Let's look at the charts. Okay, so this is like a 630. I think the last week. If you look at that, I mean the regular chart, naked chart, every pullback is the emotional struggle whether to stay in. Look at here, the market moves up. Here is a pullback right here, and then there's another pullback here. These are places where you tend to exit your trade, right? And because if that's a large pullback, we tend to exit those trades. So, but if you try to use out of the zones, if you are in the trade, just stay in. Doesn't really matter. Let's look at that one. Okay, blue candle means bullish trend. Red is the bearish trend. yellow means choppy, indecisive. So you can see right here, since the blue trend started, until you're supposed to stay in the trade until you see continuous at least two candles of red, opposite direction. In this case, you can see the doesn't matter the red candles or green candles, everything is just blue or like a choppiness. Even the pullback, you can see that even the pullback is color coded by the blue. Look at here, the largest pullback. If you followed the trend out of a zones trend confirmation, stay in the trade until you see at least two red candles opposite direction. You'll be able to stay in longer. Let me show you a couple of examples as well. Okay, let's look back at the previous day. Okay, here again, from here it entered the 630. Let's, I don't want to take that one. Correct. Here, I think from here, look at the pullbacks. Look at the pullbacks in terms of those pullbacks are the one you will, without thinking, you're going to exit those trades. Without even thinking, if the trade from here all the way down here, you are going to exit those trades. I know the volatility, but if you follow out of flow zones, you will be able to stay longer. You can see all the pullbacks. No, doesn't really matter. It's still marked as blue based on the data inside the candle. All right. So here's another example in terms of. I think this is aftermarket, but still okay. So here, almost from the morning, you can see the pullbacks. The whole run is he's a perfect runner. Perfect runner. Let me again remove the out of flow zones. You will see the pullbacks. Okay, the continuous red candle down. If you see these kind of red candles coming down, your emotional decision is always okay. Let's exit. It's pulling back. Market's reversing. That's why outflow zones is much more important. You should use it every time you are in the trade. Stay in the trade longer. Stay in the trade not based on the candle movements, not based on the volatility, not based on the pullbacks. Stay purely based on the trend. Stay with the trend. Always there'll be pullbacks. Always there'll be volatility. Stay in the trend until it reverses. Now again, you can see all the like choppiness, pullbacks, everything. But if you turn on the auto flow zones, if you use it effectively every single time, you will be able to stay in longer right here. Always from here. The double to continue exit right is right here. So let's look at some more. You can see the choppiness is always like alternating. That's a different story. But when it comes to from here here I can go on and on. If you can attach the indicator and then go through every time there was a runner, you can see clearly the whole runner is marked the by the trend confirmation. All the pullbacks will be hidden. Let's go back even a couple of weeks back so that we can see much more. All right, so let's look back a couple of weeks back. Okay, again, look at that one. Look at those from here. The pullbacks. Watch for the pullbacks. Pullbacks will be masked completely by the outflow zones. You will be able to stay in the trade longer. Look here. In terms of all the pullbacks, this is a pullback. These are the pullbacks. These are pullbacks. You will be exiting those trades, but with outflow zones, you can really stay even much longer. Look at this one. Look at this. This is perfect example. You know how much volatility we have, how much pullback we have in terms of larger pullbacks, everything. It stayed in the trade much longer. Okay, again, look here in terms of from here, the pullbacks is not marked as red. There is no bearish. When there is no trend reversal, the color stays in. The thumb rule is if you are in short, that means you should see the red candles, the bearish candles on the AutoFlow zones, you should not be exiting until you start seeing blues. You should really ignore the. You should stay still on the yellow because it says choppy. It doesn't mean reversal. Choppy means stay. We don't know what is going to happen after choppiness. It can continue or reverse. Exit only on the reverse. Never exit on the choppiness if you're already profitable. Again, look at that huge pullback. Still marked as red because momentum is on the candle side. I can go on and on about this indicator in terms of how a lot of traders use this primarily to stay in the trade rather than exiting too early emotionally in terms of pullbacks, in terms of even for stop loss risk management. So that's when we decided to uh, make the size of the signals a little bit smaller, focus on the color coding because it's much more effective to use this as a staying in the trade longer in terms of instead of using it as a trade entry strategy. Yes, you can use a trading entry strategy, but much more effective other way around. I just want to share with you. Hopefully, this one helps. If you have any questions, please email us. I'm pretty sure you have our email address info@bysaglobal.com. If you do not remember, always you can go to the website bysaglobal.com. You can find the contact us section. We'll always respond back if any questions you have. Hope you have a great day.